Art Online with Hazel Jarvis. Hi, this is Hazel Jarvis, and it's Art Online. It's our 10th week, and I want to say thank you so much for joining me. This has been kind of a rough week. Actually, that's a minor understatement. It's been a pretty terrible week. But I want to say thank you. We will do a fun project today, and we will look forward. So this is the image that we're going to be working from. And we're going to do a portrait of a bookshelf. So here is my rough sketch. And this is going to be your final sketch. And as always, we're going to start with a rough thumbnail sketch. Go onto our good watercolor paper, and we're just going to do the drawing now. So I start with a horizontal for the bookshelf, and then I start with just some verticals, slightly aslant for my books. And then I'm going to map out my cat. So our little kitten has a pretty triangular head and a lovely soft body shaped a bit like a kidney bean. And the head is much larger than the body. So as with all small animals, big head, small body, and eyes very close to the mouth. His little eyes are shut and they slant. So we put in the nose, and then we're pretty much good to go. So this is my initial drawing. So with the books, you can decide whether you want to do them slanting or straight up. You can decide whether you want to show the pages or whether you want to show the spine and the title of the book. In my painting, I decided I wanted to show the title of the book because I'm sort of interested in how we're portraying our time in lockdown and what we're reading. And so I'm including the titles of the books that sort of mean the most to me at this time. I'm just going to draw in the books very lightly, and then we'll be good to go, and we'll be good to start. Make sure that my books are different heights, and also that they're not all exactly the same width. I know that I'm going to want to write the titles on my books, and I'm probably going to paint them on. So I'm going to add a little bit of this Winsor Newton white gouache to my paint, to my watercolors, just to make them slightly more opaque. But if you have actual gouache paints, you might want to use those instead. But if you don't have this, don't worry, just paint in watercolor. So I squeeze a little bit of the white gouache from the tube into the white section on my Kuretake palette. And from there, I can just mix it with the other colors as I need to. So adding the gouache to the paint actually makes the paint just a little bit more chalky and opaque. So it's easier to write the titles on. But as I say, if you don't have the gouache, you can always write the titles on in pencil, in colored pencil, in marker, or you can just do a sort of a slash to represent some words. So I'm going to start by just painting in a couple of the spines of my books. Books tend to be organized, although that's a very loose word, by subject matter. But if your books are organized by color, by all means make all the spines of the book the same color. And I would suggest leaving some of them white, just so that you can write or you can paint a design on the spine of the book. Now I'm just filling in the spines of the books along my bookshelf. I'm going to leave 2 spines white, and I'm not going to worry about the book that looks like it's going to topple over. To take my favorite shadow mix, and that's the Periwinkle number 61 and the brown number 47, and I'm just going to draw in or paint in a line for the bookshelf. Just to anchor that shelf. Before you start in on the little kitten, just make sure that all the spines of your books are dry, and you might want to take your eraser and just lighten up your pencil lines. You'll see mine are pretty dark. Kitten, I'm going to do a very light wash of a yellow ochre, number 44. So I'm going to start on the top ear. You can see that little blob. And I'm just going to gently wash the paint all the way down over the head and over the body. And I want to keep it pretty light. I'll bring it down to the paw that's tucked under the head, and down around the eyes, but I'm going to keep the area around the mouth white. So that's just a very light, pale wash of yellow ochre, 44. He looks like this. I want to wait a moment so that the paint is no longer really, really shiny, but it's starting to look a little bit more matte before I do the next stage. While you're waiting, you can check your phone if you must, but don't spend too long. Or you can start doing maybe one of the spines of the book. And I just want to reiterate that you don't have to do the cat at all. You might just want to do a portrait of your bookshelf. And if you do, it's kind of fun to pick a topic or to pick a theme or an idea for the titles. It might be what you want to read, what you have read in lockdown, what you aspire to read, or if this is a gift for somebody else, it might be some of their favourite books too. So my cat is now partially dry, which is where I want it to be. I take my number 47, the Van Dyke Brown, and I'm just going to start to put in some stripes. And where it's still wet, you're going to get this lovely fuzzy soft bleed. And so I want a nice soft bleed on his body. And I want the stripes to curve a little. They're not straight up and down, because that'll give him some more roundness. There he goes. For the head, I want it to be completely dry because I don't want to run the risk of it bleeding too much and spoiling it or running into the eyes. So I have the fairly defined markings on the kitten's head. He is, and now I'm going to take a finer brush and I'm going to just paint in the eyes and the nose. So tilting my paper because the eyes are slanting. And it's just a little stroke downwards. Don't do too much because we're not trying to do too accurate a painting. And then a tiny bit of yellow ochre and pink just to suggest the nose. Now we're ready to do the books, and as I say, you can do whatever you like in terms of titles, and you can put them on in coloured pencil, you can do markers, or you can just leave them blank. I think that would make a beautiful image just like that. I'm going to use a number 2. It's a Raphael. It's a sable brush with a nice point, and I'm going to paint in some of the titles. So when I do that, I make a list beforehand so that I know where I'm going. I'm not going to paint all of them in, but 1 or 2. So maybe I will do, since I love Venice and I've got a blue, I'll do Venice on the spine. So I take my brush and I don't paint on the actual spine, but I sort of draw out the word so that I know what my spacing is going to be, and I know that I'm not going to run out of space. So you start at the top, lightly speck it out, and then you can draw it. And I'm going to do white on blue. And then I'll have a little sort of line at the bottom and at the top. It looks like that. And now we'll add some more titles.
A selection of markers that are good to go for writing on the books.
Book spine's empty. You can just suggest names and titles with quick words like this or quick marks like this. Or you can go to town and play with fonts and titles. And whatever you do, I think it's going to be really fun. So I can't wait to see what you do. And I hope you'll enjoy this project. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.